some people would come back and say that God is a warmonger.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he not only is he a warmonger, but listen to this, right? He's actually giving instructions of the cities of these people, which the Lord thy God doth give thee for an inheritance. So that's verse 16. Thou shalt save alive nothing that breatheth, but thou shalt utterly destroy them, namely the Hittites and the Amorites and the Canaanites and the Perizzites and the Hivites and the Jebusites, and the Lord thy God, as the Lord thy God have commanded thee. Now, I have heard this argument from a lot of prominent sort of like atheist speakers that you can find anywhere, really.
So in you hearing it, what are your responses in it, or what's your response to that particular argument, if you have one?
I mean, yes, of course I have one, 100%. It's like there are a few ways you can tackle it. It depends on what you want to, how you want to go about it. But what my favorite has always been is to say that if you bring God down to earth, then those rules apply to him as well. If you want to say that, if you make him a man, if you make him a ruler in a kingdom somewhere, you know, then the rules apply to him. But in my opinion, God has always operated outside man's sort of like humane understandings. Even our moral compass does not apply to him. Furthermore, he actually sets the moral compass. So if God kills somebody, that can be justice. If you kill somebody, you've done something wrong. So I think it's arrogance and rebellion, which was found in Lucifer, to want to say that, no, I also want to kill somebody and for it to be justice, just like you, God. Why are you doing that? And when I do it, it's not right. When you do it, it's right. So it's almost wanting to be equal with God. So those are the lines that I would go down, for example.
Okay. And then how would you link that to then addressing the question of...
Wait, pause, your turn. You jump in. What do you mean, how would I then link that?
No.
I thought you wanted to go somewhere with it by asking me that.
Well, no.
Okay, go on.
Well, firstly, I wanted to understand what your thinking was around that particular argument, because you're right, it is an argument that a lot of people use in regards to attacking the character of God, if nothing else.
Okay, fine. So let me see where you want to go with this. Then go on.
No. So then I was gonna say, how would you then link that to the argument of his love and his justice you mentioned? But we're talking about the loving God, isn't it? So how can a God who commands that nobody in a city or in a town or in a country is left alive be a loving God?
No, that love has got nothing to do with it. I think that was a different mission he was carrying out there. I think you're applying love in the wrong place. So if we're talking about this story in particular, we know from way back when in Genesis actually that he said that their sin has not reached the fullness yet. You know, so this was God bringing judgment on the people that were wicked, that had disobeyed, or I don't know if I can say disobeyed because they didn't know him yet, but their practices had the wickedness had grown so much, he wanted to get rid of them, just like the Noah's time, for example. So if we're talking about love in that aspect, I'm going to be asking, okay, how are we applying that love, for example? You know, in that situation, in what context are you speaking of that love? If you talk about love towards the people he's destroying, well, if I tell you that he didn't love them, would that be wrong? You know, would that be wild? Would that be wrong in saying that? Because one can argue that, you know, because he was actually destroying them, getting rid of him or of them from his presence. You know. Now, if you talk about the children of Israel, for example, he was giving them that land. Well, he loved them and promised Abraham that he would bring Abraham's descendants into this land. He just had to clean it first. Now, of course, I understand the implications of that, because God is meant to be a just God for all. But again, I think that's another problem. That's another misunderstanding of what God is or who God is. You know, and this misunderstanding, I think, is taken way back from the reason why we exist. Actually, I think there's a fundamental problem that's been missed in understanding what God is trying to achieve with the planet Earth, I would say.
From the beginning, what problem is that?
Well, okay. So people think that God created a whole people, right? And then gave them free will to run around and gave them choices to pick what they want to do. Okay.